a lot of great stuff.
Oh yeah.
Neat.
Oh yeah.
Over here, hello. So, welcome to the Fairport Town Talk, sponsored by the DeKalb County Historical Society. We want to thank Fairport Baptist Church for the use of their facility. It's beautiful and it's wonderful, and they're donating that use to us today, so that is a huge blessing for us, and we're very grateful. We have coffee, water, and snacks over here, so please help yourselves. We don't want to take it all back home. We want you to cart it out in pieces, however that works. We have tables in the back over here that have pictures and artifacts and things from Fairport. 2 tables are full of things that people that are here have brought in. 1 table is from the Historical Society. We also brought a couple of books that we sell, the Fairport book and the Reflections book. So those are for sale, and if you want to get them later, they're always available at the Historical Society. What am I forgetting?
Heritage memberships.
Oh, memberships, if anybody would like to join, it's $20 a year. I don't know that everyone is aware, we have a beautiful museum. It's got so much in it, it's just amazing. And in the small space we have, the small footprint we have, the number of artifacts that have been donated over the years. And we do run 100% on donations and volunteers. So if you're a place to volunteer, we're always accepting people. And if you're looking for a place to help support, your membership helps us keep the doors open. So memberships are $20 a year. And we also have a donation box over there.
Sign-in sheet.
And we have the sign-in, oh, that was the thing. We have a sign-in sheet. If you didn't sign in, we would ask that you sign in, and if you leave your email, we'll notify you of future events that we do. That's the only thing we're going to use it for. We won't pass it on to anybody else or slam you with a bunch of stuff. Just, you know, every other month or so you might get an email saying these are upcoming events. So, that being said,
Heritages.
oh, we have heritages for sale also. So we cleaned out, we've been cleaning out the Historical Society because we're out of room, making room. So we have old heritages, we have them bundled, Kyle's holding them up. It's $1 a bundle for a decade's worth of heritages. They have a lot of historical information in them about DeKalb County and different areas in DeKalb County. They're kind of fun to go back and read, particularly if, you know, you didn't receive them back then. There's a lot of, I've learned a lot, you know, I'm bundling them in going, you know, oh, I'm supposed to be stacking, sorry. Yeah. So, a lot of fun. Anyway, I think we are ready to go.
These are decades worth. This is 1990 and 1999. I think there's other decades. What we normally like to do is to just kind of, one of the basic things we want to do is collect stories that if we don't tell them, they're going to be gone. And so we want to go around and just really quick give everybody your name. So maybe 75 years from now, somebody will be going, well, there's old Uncle so-and-so. I didn't know he knew that. So just really quick, if you don't want to give your full name, you can give your first name, but we'd like to get your full name so people will know. So let's just go around the room. I'm Kyle Bridgman. I'm a transplant to DeKalb County. I've been here only been here about 25 or 30 years, so I'm kind of new around here compared to most of you guys. But and I'm with the Historical Society. So, John, you want to start there? We'll go on right.
John Haley, I used to work at Fairport Bank. I was born over here and I grew up over here. About 2 miles out of town, Twile's neighbor.
Go on around if you can.
Ben Routen, I just grew up here for 30 plus years.
BJ Rapp, I lived here 30 plus years.
I'm Rayanne Neal Jenkins, and I grew up here and multiple generations back, and cousin. Yeah, and Sunday school, all that too.
I'm Carol Pittsburgh Halter. I grew up around here and still a landowner of 5 generations. I performed just about 2 to 3 milestones a year.
John Murphy, I'm with the Historical Society, and I'm not a transplant, Kyle. I've been here 84 years.
I'm Rick Owen. I was born and raised 4 miles south of here.
Your mother?
My mother, well, my great-grandfather and my grandfather and my mother were born in a house up here, just a little bit south of Gentry County line. And so, yeah, we have a lot of ties to this community.
I'm Alda Pritchard Owen. My Pritchards have been here since probably 1980 something. Lorenzo.
1880.
18. And I'm named after my grandmother, Alda Coggo, and anyway, the descendants of my father and everyone, we've been out here, Rick and I have been out here for 53 years and stayed connected to Fairport.
You said Cogdill, as in the Cogdill Road that runs up here?
Yep.
Yeah, that would be the family.
Your mom was related to the Cogdills out here?
Well, her father,
Oh, okay.
his mother was a cop.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Alda Cogdell, she was Elaine Harriotis.
William,
Is she the one that lived up from McCrae's?
excuse me?
Up from McCrae's on the hill there?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that
No,
wasn't.
that was Clem and Gladys Cogdell.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother, her father and mother owned a little station which had their house up above it. And when Otto fell in love with her, he took the ladder and Alva came down the ladder and Ben Cogdell said, "I'll just own you." And they eloped.
So you were related to Tito?
And then the rest of the story goes on from there that they had their, well, I need to kind of go back a little bit because Grandpa Pritchard, which was Elvis Pritchard, right? Edson had married Susan, and Susan passed after childbirth. Well, the little girl was sent off to Blair,
Williamstown,
Missouri.
Northeast Missouri.
And then he remarried Dora. And Dora lived down here just south of Pedro's place in that little house. And those 3 boys, which was William, Otto, and Elvis, that married Aunt Otto, they lived there. But Alva passed in 28. Daddy was born in 25, and she passed in 28, early March. And so Dora had to raise the 3 boys.
And girl, Beulah May.
Huh?
And Beulah May.
And Beulah May. Yeah, Aunt Beulah May.
And
4 kids.
I'm just surprised how quickly you guys are going, oh, I know that.
Ironically, Bertha, that was sent away as a baby, came back 18 years to Maysville and married a Busby, and her children married a Ware, which made them related to Doris Klaus, Grace Ross, and Wava. I don't know Wava's last name. So my daddy, until after he was dead, and my mom, Rick found it in the
Read DeKalb County book.
that I had another descendant from,
Ancestor.
yeah, my ancestor.
Nobody, and that, the rest of the family never knew that.
And Grace Ross and Doris Klaus, which we were close with, but never
Never knew you.
divulged that we
Never
were
knew their
related.
blood.
Yeah.
A lot of secrets came out.
Some of those resources are amazingly informative. So let's go around, and I'm sure we'll come back to a lot of that.
I'm sorry, I told you.
Oh, no, that's good.
No.
We got that recorded now.
I'm Barb Denny. I'm not an original Fairportian, but I've been here about 35 years or so. And when I came to town, I learned really quick, you don't talk about it anyway, because they're all yeah, they're all related somehow. History is looks like a telephone pole.
But if they talk about just like you did, they.
Well, I disagree with that last part of her. Les Denny, and I'm not cousin with anybody here. My hair kind of all went out and picked them from other places, I guess. But anyway, the Denny's and the Sherrds are all
We're cousins.
East
Well,
Ends,
hey,
everything
you
else.
go back, we're cousins. Sure, the Denny's, the Flanders, all.
Yeah.
Through the Hills last year. We're related through the Hills because the Hills and Denny's and Dillingham's used to have a reunion.
So surprise last year.
Well, some.
All right, we'll keep on going around.
Janet Pitzenberger Clark. I grew up around here. I left and went to St. Joe for a while, but I'm back.
And it was Brenda Lincoln, Brenda Gocher. I live in St. Joe, but what I probably remember the most about Fairport is Max Neal, Max Pearl in town, Twyla Halter, John Haley, and all these people. So, yeah.
Joanne Iberger Varner, and I'm the oldest of my generation, and when I come back and say I'm Bob and Carl's sister, they say, well, we didn't know that they had a sister, because I was pretty quiet. But we've just bought a place in the last few years, and we're back, and I'm part of the Historical Society now. And always loved Fairport. I was very quiet. So I don't know how many people would have remembered me, but I remember a lot about Fairport. It was a wonderful place to grow up, a lot of wonderful people. And I don't think we were related to anybody, because we were Catholic and lived were embraced in the community. And I was the oldest and the first to go to school at Fairport. It was a good place. And still, I would say the people still are.
Your mom grew up around that New City, didn't she?
Mom grew up, my mom grew up just across from Bessie Ellison School, just on the way into St. Joseph.
Is she on there?
No.
He's with me.
All right. How about long distance back there? Who do we have?
I'm Larry Zieber. I'm just a member of the Historical Society. I live in Maysville. I've been there since 79. So I was with the Lions Club up here for quite a while. So I kind of know this area too, and a lot of people around it. So I'm ready to hear all these stories.
Here I am. Been here forever. Still live on the center on the back.
I'm pastor here at Fairport Church, and I do have some roots. Fairport, Berlin area, other side of the family, the Pearl Stackings, pastors. Way back.
I'm Sherry Gray. I'm Historical Society. I'm from Osborne, part of the Green Gull clan down there. I've been there for a million years. So. You live in Hannah's, my husband graduated from Clarksville. We live over by Sturtsville.
We live with our students for free non-historical society. Peggy Harwood, I'm with the Historical Society. My husband is Paul Harwood, who's lived in the area all his life, from Amby.
And I'm Janice Bennett, and I'm with the Historical Society, and I'm from Washington State. A little bit of a transplant.
She's also the curator of our museum and among other things.
I'm Bev Wiles Halsberger. Most of you know Eddie Joe. That's who I married. I came here, I grew up in Kansas, but came here, took the extension position in the courthouse. That's how we met.
I'm Karen Anderson, and I am a newbie. I've lived here for 10 years, but my roots are deep. My grandparents were born in the 1860s and lived all around this area. Grandpa was poor. He was an itinerant farmer. They had a family of 8 children. And my mother was born here. I feel like I'm back where I belong. I love the county. My aunts and uncles lived in Maysville. They lived in DeKalb County their whole life. The only one that any of you might possibly have known would have been Don Reese. They called him Bull Reese because of his football playing. But anyway, I live here now out on W, and I dearly love this county, and I want to hear more stories. Mom told me a few about this area because she, being itinerant, they lived in lots of different areas.
I'm Chad Olin, and I'm with the Society, and 2 things. My connection to Fairport is my grandparents lived here later in their life, so we spent Christmas time up here and some summer times up here. The other thing is, the very first wedding I remember going to as a little kid, I won't say how little, but it was that lady right over there. Went to her and my cousin John, and they got married, and that's the first wedding I remember. Not the last one I remember.
I'm Dean Lincoln. I was born and raised a mile and a half west of here and still live there. That's the end of the story.
Get that guy.
Here, we'll get on camera.
All right. Just in time to tell us your name and your name.
Wally Neal.
Name, rank, and surname.
All right. Well, there's a lot of different ways we've kind of gotten this going. I think one of the neat things that not being from here is I'd like to know about the town of Fairport. Maybe at the earliest that any of you can personally remember, and then if you know some interesting things that maybe your parents or grandparents have told you about Fairport area. But specifically, I'd like to maybe just start with the town here, within a mile of where we're sitting or so. You may have an interesting or uninteresting thing you'd like to share about that. Thing you remember.
I should have said, I'm Michael Varner. I came from Union Star. I met Joanne at college, and so now I'm here. But being from Union Star, I always wondered, where did the name Fairport? Because being young and stupid, I said, well, there's no ocean or anything around it. Where did the name Fairport come from?
Anybody know?
I can't tell.
I don't know.
Well, it came, supposedly, it's in that Fairport Centennial book.
Yeah,
in the front pages of it, and there's a couple of old guys when they started the first trading post here, and one of them said, well, now we got a pretty good little town started here, what do you want to call it? So one of the guys was a Union Civil War veteran, and he remembered being in some nice little town somewhere out east somewhere, and he said, and he had fond memories of it, he said, let's just call it Fairport, where it come from.
What businesses or places around here? What did this place used to look like?
It used to be quite a town. I think it got up to about 250 people maybe at one time, and they had a couple of barber shops and a hotel.
Yeah.
Stores. They had 2 stores.
I did, or above the store, didn't they?
Yeah, they had a store.
Yeah. And I remember my grandmother, Bessie Eggleston Neal, she talked about she could bring her
eggs into town and take them like to the creamery or hatchery, and that would be where she would get her cash then to go over to the grocery store. And the grocery store, all the way up and through my memory, I think that's one of the things I miss the most.
Oh, yeah.
I loved going to the grocery store here, and it was just across the street eventually from us, because we lived 2 miles north, moved back into town because my dad ran the service station, which used to be the old hotel. And Pedro Boyer had turned it into a service station, and then that's when he bought it. And so then we bought the house across the street, which also found out that long ago was the doctor in town, and his name was Dr. Harmon, and he was a relative also. Through the Pitzenbargers, and married the Harmons, and they're the ones that came in and founded King City, and then came out here 5 generations ago.
Relation.
And yes. Well, it's the Pitzenbarger that founded King City. John
Pitzenbarger.
Yeah. So
My great-great-grandfather.
all of our great-great-grandfathers. So
Don't talk about him.
Did Happy Perry, was he the one that owned the grocery store at that time?
Who?
Happy Perry? We called him Happy.
Kenny Parrish?
Him and, they had lived in the great big house
Was
down
it Kenny
here.
Parrish on it at one time?
Well, I remember, we're talking the early 50s, so it's not really all that ancient, but, yes.
Ronnie, was it Ronnie? His boy, Ronnie?
And I remember there was the store there were 2 grocery stores. The building that is currently still standing, but whatever. And then the one there's one on the other side of the street that Perry owned, and then E.B. Ross owned it.
Yeah.
And then after E.B. Ross sold it out, the building, I mean,
There was a
they ended up.
produce house over there.
But anyway, the Wednesday nights and Saturday nights, as someone mentioned, was a big deal, because we would come in from, the stores were open late, and we would come to town, and, like my mother and parents, and as most of them, they brought their eggs and cream, which was to Jim Sheridan's
Produce House.
Produce House. And while they were there, I mean, moms would buy groceries, and us kids would play over in McBride's yard, which is now where the Porters live. I mean, there was a big house. It was that. And I remember on the front porch, or well, it's still standing. I guess those poles are still standing on the store, where the store was. And it was, that's when I learned I had no athletic ability at all, because most of them would, try to climb those poles. That was a big deal, and I never got beyond, I couldn't do that. But anyway, they did that, but anyway, that was a Wednesday night, Saturday night thing, and I remember the stores. And one thing I remember about the school is like, I will tell this and then I'll try to shut up. I think I'm probably the only one probably can say that I went all 8 years to the Fairport School in 4 different locations. Because I started out in the building in 1950, and the building burned. There were 2 rooms, 4 grades in the lower room and 4 grades in the upper room. And anyway, the building burned in March of my 4th grade year. And so they took the first 4 grades, and we attended school in the basement of this church, the Baptist church. This is where the first 4 grades went. And the top 4 grades went to the basement of the Methodist church. So I got to start out in the old
building and finished up my 4th grade year in the basement of this church. And then the next year I'd advanced to 5th grade, so I was in the basement of the Methodist church. and then the new building was finished, and I finished out then in the building, which is now the automobile.
Was the original building? Was the original building where the school is now?
Right.
I didn't know that.
What year did that burn, Twyla?
When did it burn?
Yeah, what year was that?
1950.
You said you were in 4th grade and started in 50, so it'd be 54?
March of 54.
Okay.
March of 54.
Because that was the second school, right? Because I read the first one.
The first one had been destroyed, I think, by a cyclone, and that building was erected there. But I remember then too, you know, this is the time of year shopping for school supplies. Well, we shopped for our school supply, or we didn't shop, I guess, or whatever, but it was always a big deal that I remember my dad brought me and my brother into town and to get us a new cigar box.
Put your supplies in.
Yeah.
And that's what we used. They save the cigar boxes and they'd give us a cigar box, and we'd put our crayons and our little pair of scissors and eraser and a few pencils, and we had our supplies for school.
Dean, do you remember on Saturday night, Mom told me or somebody that somebody would have a truck here in Fairport and a lot of people would get in the back and they'd ride down to Maysville to go to the movie? Do you remember that?
I remember when Saturday night was a big night in Fairport.
Well, that's what somebody told me. They used to go down to Maysville
They may have.
to the theater. Burnham told me a lot of stories.
You said there was a theater here in town somewhere?
Above the grocery store.
Stop it.
As a matter of fact, when we were kids, we were told if we cleaned it up one time, we could play up there. And so, you remember that? Ronnie Pearl and I, because we lived across the street from each other, and some of our other crew worked our tails off, had dirt and crap all over us. And then after we got it all cleaned up, they go, "It's unsafe up there. Thanks, kids."
That's what I was going to say. By the time I got old enough, they wouldn't even let us go up the steps.
That's right. It's getting
No, you can't go up there.
Well, actually, I think probably the last time it might have been used as a sort of like a theater was when we were attending school in the church basements, and Evadine Casper was the teacher for the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and she always kind of had a school play. I mean, we had a deal, and we didn't have it, and we had it upstairs.
Wow. My great uncle Homer Hill went to Fairport High School.
Yeah.
I've got his grade card somewhere. I couldn't find it.
When did they quit having high school?
They didn't have it very long. But it was up above the store.
Was it? Oh, I didn't.
I don't know where it was.
Yeah, I did not heard that.
Yeah, I've got his old grade card. But I couldn't find a bunch of stuff.
One day above the restaurant, didn't they have a
Lodge.
Yes,
The Masonic Lodge.
Masonic
a
Lodge.
lodge? Yeah.
Well, it was an Odd Fellows to begin with.
Was it? I don't know.
And then when the Berlin Lodge burned down, they moved the Berlin Lodge into there, and it's called the Berlin Lodge.
Oh, that's another place we weren't allowed to go.
I was only up there 3 or 4 times, and yeah, you didn't want to go up there.
Well, getting back to the store though, by the time we were all kids, the best thing at the store were nickel ice cream cones.
I was going to say, a nickel for one scoop.
Hoskins and not winning.
Exactly.
Johnny gets a lot bigger than.
Well, it's a nickel for one scoop, a dime for 2.
Oh, but I had to go get Jack Eastep, the nickel Coke out of
And
the big ones were 10 cents, and the little ones were
Alva's
nickel.
parents were in the store for a
And
while.
Jack Eastep said them little ones were a lot better than them big ones.
Your parents were in the store for how many years?
Oh, let's see, from 1970, Probably 1971 through 1974.
I got caught.
We lived on, Rick and I rented Harry, well, from your parents. Leroy in Maryland, Harry Eastep.
I remember that.
And of course, we got the pleasure of being neighbors to Ziggy, which was Twyla's dad.
We go over and we play hearts with Zig and Ida.
Zig and Ida.
Your dad always said, we played on a hearty mat, ate a toast.
And he slapped that heart down on our heart and win that.
Johnny Hawkins used to snap the cars down when he played pitch, or, at the cheap store.
Of course, I was in the blitz, what was that, 1961, when the bus got stuck out here at the power plant. They tried to, we didn't have the alert things, so they loaded us up in Wilbur Taylor, God bless his soul. Here he was, trucking us out of there as fast as he could, and we got out here to the power plant, went east. That road was drifted in so bad, he couldn't help it. Couldn't go forward, couldn't go backward. Well, the big kids, Jerry Johnson and Joe Mossberger, Charlie Pod, Connie Moore, the Johnson kids, Jackie Johnson, and anyway, they all got off and walked to Billy and Keith Johnson's house. Well, I was the very last one to be delivered, and they couldn't take me nowhere. So they tried to get the bulldozer, the motivator out there, it got stuck. They tried to get the little bulldozer out there, it got stuck. Well, here comes Johnny Hoskins. Hill cap turned up, heat houser on, that John Deere tractor, and Cobble Canard was riding on the drawbar. Well, they made it out the highway, and they walked to the school bus. And Wilbur was sitting there with me, keeping the bus running. And I knew Johnny real well, because Mom and Dad and Johnny and Winnie were just like that. And Johnny said, Alberti, we're going to take a little trip back to my house. And I said, well, I was just in first grade. And Wilbur said, now don't worry about your baby doll. Put its bottle under its arm and I'll wrap it up nice in your little blanket and we'll put it here in the glove compartment. I don't remember how scared I was, but those guys.
So you're talking 61 and 62, that blizzard. Well, I always heard that the bus got snowed in over by Keith and Geraldine's, and they fed all the kids, and Keith had to thaw out a bunch of meat and they had in the freezer.
Yeah.
And John and his mother were in on that too. I mean, anyway.
Pappy Canard said, put each foot in the back pocket of my overalls and wrap your arms around me. So I did, and Johnny threw his coat. They had an extra coat they threw over me. And Pappy Canard, Koval, packed me from that power plant all the way out to the tractor. Then Johnny Hoskins got me in there in the heat houser, got me back. Him and Winnie and the girls were living behind the store in that house. He put me in bed with the girls. And it was, I don't know, I lost track of time a day or two before Daddy could get out on his Ford tractor. But we went around scooping Max and Betty and the girls, Ronnie and Richard, out because of snow. They couldn't get their screen doors open. So that was quite a snowstorm.
Yep, in 79, Richard and I had to leave my car up at Egona. We went to the basketball game up at Albany on Saturday night. We had to leave my car up there because I got stuck there by Egona going up that hill around the curve. And I stayed with Mouse for 4 days, and I finally got home. I rode with Wally on a tractor. He was feeding Jackie's steps calves, right? Yeah. Jack had cattle out there, and the roads still weren't open. We had to go through the field someplace.
Yeah, we did zigzag all the way.
I rode on the tractor, and I called all the neighbors to see if they needed any groceries because we still had a store then, And I got Little John's a carton of cigarettes, and Harlan lived up there where you live, and I met Little John out in the middle of the pasture and gave him the groceries.
That's what he's been saying.
Tractors were the only mode of transportation then.
Yeah.
So remember, Alan Gillette came to the station, and everybody brought the tractors in to fuel up. Just, they couldn't get to their fuel tanks.
And they had chains.
Yep.
Was that the same blizzard? Because Dad used to talk about how Roberta Ellis went into labor with Tad.
Oh, yeah.
And how they all had to get out and
Ted was born in December '61.
They always called him Snowball.
Yeah, they had to clear the road so they could get her to the doctor.
To get her out.
Yeah.
Ted was just 6 months younger than Ray.
Yeah.
Well, I told him, I said, so you were a pain in the, before you were even born.
Yeah, we got married in 72 and lived out there on the Harry East Step place, and then we built a home here in Fairport, moved to Fairport in 75, and then we got the pleasure of knowing everyone that lived in Fairport. There was someone in every house. From Grace Pitzenbarger all the way down here to Briscoe, and Nancy all the way north to Bruce Pitzenbarger. And then, of course, there was across the road, there was the ground to corn. Mr. Peters?
Oh, Peterson.
Peterson. Anybody remember Mr. Peterson?
Great big old man.
Where?
He lived there where...
Up here? At the north edge of town?
Well, the very north one,
Was Dublin.
Dublin Francis moved up there from down
Mr.
here.
Peterson lived on the west side, there where Leach.
But then the next house south was Earl Peterson. He had fingernails that long, real big, long,
Where Leach ran
around his own.
Where Leach is now.
Yeah. Well, I was.
The ferry place, I think it was.
I was a pleasure of tax collector for a little time, and 6 years. And he'd come in there, and of course, you know,
Great big man.
huge and long fingernails, had a little bitty leather purse, and then long fingernails, and he'd open up his little leather purse and he'd pull out his cash to pay his taxes. And the last time I was collecting taxes, Katie was a baby and I had her laying there, and he pointed at me with that long stick. He said, "Young lady, someday your children's children will be hungry." Now, if you don't think that doesn't and what we've been through in 20, I'm like, oh my Lord. God above was saying, that man was telling you something.
I just want to say one thing real quick. That I've told Richard and Ronnie and Geyser and all these guys, there might be some better places to live and grow up and stuff than DeKalb County, but there's not very many and they're not much better.
No,
I don't think
And again, besides the nickel ice cream cones, does anybody remember when Willard would still bring his team of horses to town from down south? Because, that was another generation. It was like living a generation back, that they still had
Was he
some.
related to Johnny Hoskins, or were they just real good close? They were close, wasn't they?
And fishing
Johnny
ponds.
Hoskins had the farm, him and Winnie out there, and
Willard and Ethel lived in.
right across the
Were
road.
they related, or were they just friends?
But we all loaded up in the school bus. Remember, last day of school, brought our fishing poles and our worms. I made the sack lunches, and we'd get on the school bus and go fishing.
And because he had fishing ponds also out of his
bunch of them
place.
with little docks on them. We couldn't bring our fishes back.
But that was our school trips were very unique for Northwest Missouri.
Take your sleds on the bus and your snow boots, and we go sledding out there on the hill.
The school hill, And we'd also go to Conception Junction. Does anybody else remember that? We went up to the convent.
Yes, I remember that.
And went there for a school trip.
You guys got to go to Chicago.
And we went to Chicago on
somewhere else
the
really
train.
good.
Now, we didn't go anywhere. We went to the convent.
We got to go to St. Joe somewhere, maybe.
voice and then
Well, I think we were at the
stand
Union Station or something in Kansas City one time.
We didn't even do that.
I think, didn't we go to the the Roundhouse or something like that in St. Joe, and then rode the train up to Burlington Junction, and the bus picked us up? I don't know how old I was.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
One time we went to Lexington. I remember that on the
Is that when
bus.
Mrs. Thatcher?
Didn't we go to Union Station one time in Kansas City? You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember.
You remember that?
Train going by.
Yeah. You remember going to Union Station?
Really?
Well, maybe it was Union Station and not St. Joe. But
Did we ride a train to St. Joe or something?
I thought we rode the train just from St. Joe to Union Station.
Okay.
Got on the bus and came home.
Okay.
You younger guys. We got to go to Chicago.
Yeah, Colorado Springs one year too.
Yeah.
And you guys must have been good because we never got to go again.
maybe we were 6th grade. We went to the Ice Capades one year.
That's one Wally remembers.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
We gotta do lots of, well,
Mrs. Holt,
now,
I think.
what was the, so like your whole class went?
Our whole class, yeah,
Was that
the
like
whole,
the
the
eighth
big
grade or
room.
something?
Again, like Twyla said, when the school started out, it was the big room and the little room.
Right,
So when they
right.
rebuilt, it was the big room and the little room. There was still 4 and 4. You would go to school and when your class would go up to the reading table to have your own lessons, and then you'd go back to your row.
Okay.
And then when we got older and the population grew, they built on the school. So then we had the little room, the middle room,
That's what I
and the big
guess.
room.
Yeah, we had
And the
3
ki-
rooms.
Yeah, 3 rooms by the time you guys came.
Yeah.
Junior high got the big room.
I always thought Mrs. Holt was about the best teacher ever. She taught us how to read, she taught us how to write, she taught us how to speak, like phonics, tear up big words into little pieces.
Music,
Huh?
music.
Well,
Margaret was the biggest music. We put on those plays and for the community, had the
you remember that play?
Fairport community.
Debbie Geiser and I got married?
Well, in our year,
I read about that.
in our year, Ronnie Crow was the
We
bride.
were in the first grade. We were in the first grade in Stanton, and Sutton was a preacher.
You can't talk about Fairport unless you talk about the fish fry,
Yeah.
Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
I mean,
And the community,
community.
every month, wasn't we had the community meeting in Fairport?
Well, Plan Progress.
remember those. And the elders-
Plan Progress.
Yeah, the school put on a program. Margaret had something for all of us
That was nice.
to get up and do.
Oh, the shelter
They
house.
started that even earlier because they had the community meetings in the,
It never developed.
what I'm calling the original building down there.
Well, they had the Plan Progress when I was a little kid, they called it. That was
I mean, that came along in later, but they had these communities, yeah.
Yeah, I remember calling
They'd
it
have box
community
suppers and they'd do all this kind of stuff.
I'm sure.
Decorate your box and they'd auction it off and you had to eat with whoever bought your box.
It was like,
You had to wear those.
I don't remember that,
we all remember Max and Betty Pearl and Max and Claire and Charlie and Leathership, they really got up there and performed and,
Well, and what a lot of people didn't know is that Claire Neal was Betty too. Betty
I just
Claire
read that recently.
and Betty Jean.
Yeah, so how weird is that to have downtown Fairport with Max and Betty on one side of the street and Max and Betty on the
I
other
didn't
side?
realize that. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
that is just bizarre.
Yeah, somebody one time, Burnham told me, somebody put $100 in the wrong account or something. Max and Betty.
John and I we didn't live across the street, but when John Eggleston married Twyla Wilson,
and then
and we were best of friends. In fact, that was the only time I played Cupid in my life, and it was unintentional. No one was more surprised than I. We had a lot of fun, and it was with two John and Twylas.
Twyla's kind of rare.
And
John's
of course
was
we
kind of
went to the
common, but
that
Twyla's was pretty rare.
Yeah. Did you two go to school together, Twilight? You and
No,
Twilight.
Twilight grew up at Rushville,
Yes.
Decatur.
We went to junior, we met at junior college, and in fact, it was our name, it was a really crazy thing, that's how we met.
That's what I.
And anyway, and we became friends, but she, yes.
You met at
I lived in an
registration,
apartment in St. Joe, and she lived at home.
Didn't you meet at registration when you were
Yes,
signing
we
up for
did.
class?
And again, that's the only chivalry I remember as a community was John and Twila's
Well, no,
chivalry.
Larry, you didn't go to Larry, Maryland? That was the chivalry.
Yeah.
That was another
We
community
went with
event.
Jack Wiggs or somebody was gonna take Larry down and dump
Throw
him in the pond.
I think they did.
I think Jack Wolf got my mom and dad pretty good too.
I was too young, I was a flower girl at their wedding.
But they got back at him later.
So I was wondering about, talking about different generations you were talking about. So, like, Dean, you said you weren't always around Fairport, or you were how always? What's some of the early things that you remember that you would want everybody to know about Fairport? People or businesses that aren't here anymore, or church stuff? Government, yeah, I was thinking about, what kind of organization for the city, or...
Never heard anybody mention that Herbert Perry had the store
I remember that.
where the restaurant was later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worse than Herbert.
And that was the other one still going too?
The other one was going, but my parents never went there, and I can't tell you what the guy's name was. The first person that we actually done business with over there was Ken Parrish. That was after Herbert closed the store. But I do remember it was after they closed the store. I found these beefsteak mushrooms. And one of them, you just hold it in your hand like that, and it was a great big burden. My mother wouldn't cook it. Somebody said, well, Herbert, they eat that kind of stuff. Take it over to Herbert. Well, he wasn't there, but Forrest come to the door. She was old, and I can remember her eyes yet. They had white rings around the pupil. I told her the story of mushrooms, and if you wanted. She said, you're afraid to eat it, so you're giving it to me? Well, that was kind of the end of that. Somebody else said, Bruce, that's a
You said you were afraid to eat it, but you're going to give
I
it
took
to
it up there to him. Yeah, he ate it, wanted to know where I got it.
It was right.
There was others.
I remember Catherine Riggs always wanted a turtle.
Yes,
Somebody had a turtle.
yes, yes.
Yeah, 'cause
And they
we'd
turtle
catch
soup,
turtles.
and I remember we used to save our, like, oxtails, and when we butchered and Pedro and Frida always liked that oxtail soup.
Yeah.
Yes. I also remember when Harvey Law had the blacksmith
Yeah.
shop.
Mom mentioned that.
And he belonged to the Methodist Church. And they'd ask him to pray. Oh, I always hated for him to ask Harvey Law to pray. Go on He would have been my father-in-law to Gary Curtis. Gary's wife was part of his daughter.
But tell them about developing the hoe, didn't you? Remember
Well,
that?
he made hose and.
But he made one that-
Little knick-knack things. We had a pancake spatula that he made.
Well, didn't he patent a hoe?
Himself. He had a kind of a tour he would take himself and put a bunch of hose and stuff in it and go down there.
Didn't he patent one and sell it around, kind of around the world? I mean,
Not to them.
that's what Mom said. And that's what Bertram told me.
Yeah, I thought so too. I remember that.
Did you go coon hunting, Dean?
What?
Did you go coon hunting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. That was big.
Him and Randy and Max and John Holder.
Yeah,
and
that was a
Ziggy
big
and
deal. And their CBs.
Tim Eggleston used to go. They used to meet and go live the next morning.
Oh, yeah.
How many
The
things they
coyote
got.
hunt was a big deal
that
back
was a
then.
big deal too.
And whose dog didn't run deer. You know.
Well, I remember going with the Denny's coon hunting one night, and all the kids, we got to troop out with the guys with their guns, and when they got a coon, I remember I had the privilege of carrying it back, and I thought, wow, this is so cool, and I thought, you know, it probably had mites and dirt and everything else.
Yeah. Remember Ziggy and Max used to ride in the pickup, and Ronnie and John would chase the coons and the dogs and everything.
Yep.
I remember Ziggy sometimes when he got home, he had to stay out in the chicken house for about a half hour or so before he went in. She said, I don't know where we are. See, he hadn't come to the house yet.
Hey, John.
Ziggy, Lawrence Pittsburgh. How'd he get the name Ziggy?
You know, I heard him, and that was back, they had a barber shop or something, I don't know. I think that he said that maybe that was like, I don't know, in some publication, maybe a newspaper or whatever, there was a cartoon thing that had a character, Ziegfeld or something like that. And he just said, he was tall and lanky or whatever, maybe resembled this character, but he said he walked into the barbershop and whoever was in there said, well, there's Ziggy. And it stuck.
I mean, that's all. Ziggy stories and Baldus stories until dark, I think.
But, yeah, we had a barbershop and all sorts of.
Your dad and you were good friends.
Well, they farmed next door to each other.
Yeah, our friend.
They used to like to go to the Royals games, and the Lions Club would like charter 2 buses. You know, we'd go to a Royals game, and Baldus always said, "I don't care where we're going as long as the buses go to the bathroom."
Yeah.
I don't care where we're going.
And you know, Ziggy and Ida, we were newly married, renting that Harry Estep house, Johnny's uncle. And they were just wanted to make sure we weren't lonely, you know, come over and play cards. And Ziggy was real good. Rick loved to hunt. I don't know how many nights I spent alone because Ziggy had Rick out coyote hunting or coon hunting, and little John would get in that pickup.
Oh, that was fox hunt,
Yeah, and he'd have Rick hanging out the door and going across the corn this way instead of down the road.
I had a deadly shotgun, I was hanging out the way, he said, and of course, we was right behind the coyote, he said, shoot him, boy, I couldn't run.
So we had quite a bit of entertainment in the newly.
That's another thing. Remember, they used to have these fox drives, you know, they'd get in the truck with a gun, all these guys. And one time, Harold Craig, remember the preacher here?
Yes.
Threw a firecracker, I heard, in the back of the truck with all those guys with guns, you know, and somebody was really upset. And Harold was a pretty good sized guy. And this guy wanted to know, said, who threw that firecracker? And they said, this guy right here. He goes, oh, okay.
Yeah, we moved out, and I think it was Tom and Sally that moved in when Tom went to work for we'd moved to town, so Ziggy got Tom all initiated too into the hunting.
Ziggy and I, they just couldn't ask for better people.
Oh, they were so much fun.
Thank you.
When he was in the nursing home, he, you know, would always holler for Heidi. He'd say Heidi, Heidi. But all the staff around there thought he was saying Heidi. And I said, no, he's saying Heidi.
I went down to see Ziggy in the hospital one time, and he wanted out so bad, and Baldus went down to see him, and Baldus fell asleep there in the room, and Ziggy told the nurse, said, put that guy in this bed, let me go home. And then he told me he wanted to move across the hall, but the Heartland had those cul-de-sac deals, you know, the rooms in a circle like it. Ziggy says, I want to move to that room over there across the way. And I said, why is that, Ziggy? He says, well, the turnovers are a lot quicker. There's been 4 come and go since I've been here.
I don't want us to forget about, though, there was John D. and Bernice Eggleston, which was Little John's parents, and they were so awesome. And Judy and Jackie and Jane were Little John's sisters. And then we were blessed to have Roy Denny. I love Roy Denny. He was just Ernest's father. He was just awesome. I didn't know his wife, but then we had, of course, I was a little girl. We had Ora Troxel, Howard and Ori Troxel, and Chick and Fanny Sherry, you know. All these shares, all these unique. I mean, they were unique folks. They were so unique. I mean, I was just little, but there was something about them that
A lot of good people.
that you just, that was part of our community, and it was just, they were unique.
Well, I think we can't forget, even though it's not all that far back, but like when I was a young girl coming into town, the farm girl coming into town was really a big deal.
A big deal.
And especially when I got to spend the night with Lynn Boyer, of which was, they had the service station, which was right up here. Anyway, and we'd stay all night, but we got to visit, and the Boyer family particularly had befriended Jenny and Glenn Ginn, and Jenny ran the central office for the telephone.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was just a treat to go down, and I mean, I was just in awe to go and watch. She'd have, you know, and she'd plug, you know, and it was just right in her living room. She took care of all the telephone business.
So where was her house?
Well,
It wasn't way,
Down the hill here, kind of.
just
halfway
Before you
up
get
north.
to Route-
yeah,
Right.
Kind of where just like where the pond is now,
Yeah.
going north.
So where the little Randy's house is?
Yeah.
It was across the street and maybe a little.
Was a little red welding shop, and then their house was just north of that. When we moved to Fairport, and Jenny still had that in her house. It wasn't useful, but she still had it in her house.
yeah, that was fun. And Myrtle Osmond,
Oh, yeah.
they had did he have the black? Myrtle, as I remember, was a widow when Myrtle Osmond.
He's going, yeah.
Augie.
Yeah,
Yeah, Myrtle Osmond.
Augie done it.
yeah, but wasn't it the blacksmith shop that he had down on the west side of the road down there? And where she lived? I mean, but anyway, she was another one of the.
Well, she's related to Max's mother. Osmonds were. Max Pearl's mother was an Osmond.
Yes, yeah, they were related. But anyway, those were two of the ladies that I remember that the Boyer family befriended. Visit.
Yep, I remember Charlie Clark had snakes in his tube. Yeah, I bet.
Him and Jack Eastup were buddies, you know?
Yeah.
Talking about the switchboard, how widespread was phones at that
I
time?
wonder how long they had to be on.
You know,
TV.
I really don't know, because we certainly didn't have one, you know, and
Even when I was growing up, we had party lines.
yeah, yes, when we got, I mean, we had our own little, within my grandparents and Aunt Bernice and Uncle Bruce, and, you know, they, you know, had
I won't say who it was, but there was
three roses bottle or something. But that wasn't connected with the central office. I mean, that was just our own little, I don't know how they got that.
And wasn't it Hillcrest 9? Or, yeah, I do by the time we came around.
I don't know how much of it, because there was a central office in Maysville, and I mean, I think they
four numbers.
if you were going to make a long distance call, it was really a deal. They had to connect with someone to someone to someone. I don't think there were that many people I mean, because it wasn't a full-time job when we'd go visit Jenny. I mean, she would have time to visit with us, and I don't even remember how she got the signal that it was time to do something to connect someone's
She mentioned
phone.
party lines, and we had 8 people on party line, you were on our line and stuff. And one day I tried to use the phone and I couldn't get a dial tone. I told Dad, I said, something's wrong. And I can't get a dial tone, but I can hear a clock ticking in the background. So he thought maybe Lowell Thompson was in trouble or something. So Dad went up to get Ziggy, and they went to Lowell's, and she was okay, and he went over to Jack Estep's, and they had got gas.
Oh, I remember hearing about
They
that.
put a new
Yes,
furnace in,
yes.
and the exhaust, the furnace was rolling back into the house.
It's a good thing.
And the dog was sick, and Jack was on the floor, he tried to call.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, so
The party line saved their lives.
Yeah, it did.
Well, you were mentioning all those names. I was thinking about nicknames, and there was Connie Thompson, and I think I remember
He was
somebody
right
calling
behind us for a little
Yeah,
while.
yeah. But I think somebody called him Cotton, and I always wondered,
And he had a farm over there.
Yeah,
By you.
over by
I
us.
think Gold's
Yeah.
Falls.
Yeah.
Across the road from your house.
Yeah, but I think Connie was Cotton Thompson, and I wondered if it was because he had white hair.
Probably. Hey,
What's that?
Scott Thompson, did he have white hair?
Was it because of white hair that they called him Cotton? Maybe?
I don't have any idea.
He was Charlie's neighbor.
It was my neighbor, yeah.
Lowell.
Brandon.
What her name, Lowell?
Lowell, yeah. And they had one among our neighbors had a TV, so it was really a treat when my brother and I could go over and they watch TV with them when we could walk over there. Farms joined.
Graham, what was Buck Thompson's name?
Granville.
That sounds familiar.
I remember Granville used to go up to the Peace Store and play pitch, and it'd be ahead like 30-0, and then the other team would shoot the moon and win the game, and he would just get up and walk out the door and cuss all the way home.
Well, and that was
That gang shooting the moon.
that was one of the weird things that the whole community got into playing pitch. They'd have pitch tournaments. We would play pitch at recess at school, and they'd say, "You need to move." Oh, we got a game going. And then they'd have pitch tournaments up at the restaurant
Yeah.
in the Lions Club.
Yeah, I played in one when I was a little kid. I was a kid in high school, and the first 2 nights I was leading it, and the last night I had to play with Malsberger and Harold Malsberger and Jerry Popwell, and there's a whole bunch of good pitch players, and I don't think I scored a point the whole night. They'd overbid it every time I bid it. Remember that, Joe?
I don't remember nothing.
Does anybody remember Ben Lynch?
Yes.
Who would hang out at the grocery store and he'd give us nickels. He would, like, so
Did he
he would
go
go.
behind the store?
Yes, he had like an old trailer or something behind the store. But, as a kid, whenever you were a kid, he didn't give you candy, but he'd give you a nickel if you'd talk to him in the grocery store. So then you could buy candy or one of those famous ice cream cones or, I still remember that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was.
John.
I probably would have been too shy to talk to taller one.
Yes.
You always wanted John to get your idea.
We all remember that.
That's a memory we all share.
Before you got it.
Well, and then Johnny and Winnie moved from across the street. They moved from the house we bought to the house across the street. So we bought our house from them.
I didn't remember that one.
Who did you buy your house from?
Hoskins.
Oh, from the Hoskins.
Yeah, they moved from the east side of the road to the west side of the road.
Well, and we moved about the same time. Mom finally let Dad know that it was getting kind of crowded living with Grandma when we had 4 kids. I was finishing first grade, and Dad came home and said, Well, we could, there's a house for sale in Fairport. We could buy it, but we ended up instead renting the house from Leland and Berla Warner.
Okay.
Where Berla had grown up, I think. I don't know about that.
What's that?
Leland and Berla Warner was a bird, I think.
Yeah, Berla Bird.
And we
She
lived in
was
the
raised
house
by-
she grew up in.
She lived with my great-grandparents the last 2 years because her family moved, and she stayed with the Easteps
Oh, really?
and finished school here at Maysville. She wanted to finish school in Maysville, and we always called her Aunt Blanche, except she wasn't really her aunt.
I remember I would always have an excuse to go down to the Denny's because I liked Phyllis's food.
And it was good, yes it was. And then in the middle of the night, you'd stop by our house for the conversation.
Johnny, are you talking about Blanche or Berla?
Berla, well, Blanche was raised with my,
Blanche was Berla's mother.
yes, that's what I'm talking about, Blanche.
Blanche was Berla's mother. Okay. Well, and then who?
Did I say Berla was raised in? I mean,
Yeah, I think. And Marie Wogan
yeah, that's Berla's sister.
was Berla's sister.
Berla's sister.
Yeah.
There's another thing, some of you, if you know this Willis family that moved down here from Canesville, and the boy just broke John Hunt's all-time scoring record. It's a great family and great athletes. Well, is it Jason's grandma was Winnie Hoskins' sister?
Yes. And she used to visit here, that's what it
Yeah, she said she remember working at the school.
Oh, really?
in the summer, yeah.
What was Winnie's maiden name?
Meineke.
Okay.
So what happened if you had some trouble in town? You had police officers, sheriffs, anything like that that
Nothing.
patrolled or anything like that?
The county sheriff.
Doug Whitman, no problem.
Yeah, I think we took care of it.
Yeah, there was probably somebody.
Doug Whitman.
It took care of drugs and
Who was in control of those community meetings? Who
The mayor.
Community meetings, who's in control?
Oh, it was the school. You mean the school?
She just asked who was in
Oh,
control.
Bugle was the mayor.
Oh, that was his dog.
I remember.
Yeah, boy, he landed on the side of the highway too.
Yeah, we
Yeah, you go by, he didn't move.
So obviously, we didn't elect anybody, you were just appointed to be the person in charge.
I was wondering if Dean remembered anything, you know, when I was young, I mean, Fairport's,
That's a long time ago.
we had, whenever we wanted to have a picnic or some special gathering or whatever, we went to the Lincoln Timber, which was down, and I just, do you remember that, Dean? I mean, Boy Scouts, I remember we had church picnics and things, and it was always down there, and it was just beautiful.
Where was that Chautauqua?
And did you didn't have to prepare for us? It was just naturally good, but I remember a number of picnics.
Wasn't that Chautauqua or something or 4th of July Day?
What's that?
Well, the only thing I really remember along that line was when they had the horse pulling contest. They started out down there in the Lincoln Timber at the bottom, pretty close to where the creek is, on the north side.
They used to have a big 4th of July deal out on the west side of that dirt road out west of town. You don't
Anyway, I mean, it was just like, I remember the Boy Scouts, my brother, you know, the Scouts would be there, they would meet there for a picnic
You don't
lunch.
remember the 4th of July deal right there on the west side of the dirt road west of town? I've seen somebody had a poster out there.
They had a poster, I think there was something about the beautiful timber.
Yeah.
It was the 4th of July.
I thought maybe you had to. And then another thing that was in the area that was out on Brenda's home place, was they had a ball field. And it was like my dad and that generation, and her dad, and a bunch of them. I mean, I remember, they had the ball field out behind the house there. Yeah, right, yeah. Did you play up there, Dean? Did you ever play there?
Red talked my Uncle Leonard next come up and pitcher ball there.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
But I know, I knew Brenda's dad, Red, and my dad, and I've forgotten. My brother did a lot of research on that at one time. He was really interested in maybe Leonard Nixon.
Yes, Uncle Leonard.
Yeah.
Red has.
Where was it located, Twyla?
There in the pasture.
We're Brenda up on the farm.
South side of Brenda's house.
Just on the west side.
Oh,
The back.
I mean, the east side, I'm sorry, the east side. The
Because when
back,
I grew up, the backstop was still there.
Yeah.
And then it got,
Yeah, and I remember your dad's, his uniform was wool uniform. And but they had uniforms and the whole bit.
You still have them, don't you? Wasn't them at the funeral?
Yeah.
Every little town had a ball field.
We call your Uncle Z. I call my dad Uncle Harold.
Yeah, they did.
What was the ball team's name? Was it Fairport?
I think it was.
I don't remember what it said on the uniform.
They played McFall a lot, I remember.
Well, there's a big one in Johnsonville, and there's a ball field over there that they actually know where it's at.
Yeah, that's
For years, people's never been able to find it, but they actually think they've located it.
Well, I went through the Johnsonville store.
Yeah.
I know it was Johnsonville store.
Is there anything that you specifically were excited about sharing today with everybody that you haven't had a chance to say yet? Or?
I'm curious about something, Kyle. I just wonder, how many people came to the Fairport Fish Fry? Is it-
We had 2,500, I think, the biggest.
Yeah.
Have any memories of that?
I mean, yeah.
It's like 2 tons of fish.
Yeah, you go out where they find fish and they're all.
You stand out for hours, but I think all the women making
2 tons of fish one year,
25
4,000 pounds of fish.
potato salad.
Each of the Lions Club members we had to do 3 gallon of baked beans and 3 gallon of potato salad.
Bolts used to get in on that too when they go get the fish down in
Yeah, they would drive down and
Tennessee.
But it was quite, literally, they would be lined up. It was, of course, held down in the school building. All the way up the street, people would stand and
February every year.
yeah.
And it was a lot of prep because they would burn down, they would take the tallow and they had a big old pot and they just build a big fire here in town and take turns. And, yes, and that's why I have memories. And the guys out there, but it was also a social event for the gentlemen.
Oh,
They would say, back off, kids, you're not allowed to hang.
Well, the kids got to go out and visit for a little while.
That tallow is what did it. It took a lot of the fishiness out of the fish.
Yeah, but that was big, and also the Fairport Centennial, which was in 69. And I found some pictures, so they're over there. But I remember my dad won the beard contest, so that was a big deal too.
Rick and I will have to, but every fisher gave the bank a collage one time of several pictures of the Centennial. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember looking at it.
I don't know what happened.
Well, John, whatever happened to those pictures in the lobby? I wonder.
I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah.
I reckon no forward left, probably no more.
Lobby at work.
I remember there was a lot of discussion about the A.J. Perry
He probably knows better than this.
That disappeared right there.
Yeah, but there's a day, that's the only one I wanted. I didn't want to get here. That's his crew on the Fairport Festival. Where it's coming, right? I'd like to see what they've done to it.
Me too. One thing I always remember is I was
There's a Fairport Centennial book you know about that.
Employees somewhere got their hands on it.
Yeah.
Well, you must have been on the inside. They must have got back there, the ground.
Well, as we've learned that a lot of these, you could probably go the rest of the day and tell stories. And if we had thought about having a fish fry, we could have had one and spent the rest of the day.
Yeah, we talked about telephones, and very few people had them, and then you had the party lines. What about outhouses and indoor plumbing?
We had an outhouse for a long time.
Oh,
Definitely. Well, my mom said she wouldn't come to the farm unless they put in the bathroom.
I remember really kind of on some of the Wednesday night occasions, it was when Casper's lived where your home became.
Yes.
And they were one of the few in town that had an indoor bathroom. And we were kind of, everything was a teacher. And sometimes we would go and knock on their door and ask them if we could use their bathroom. But there were, outhouses were very common.
Yes, they were.
Oh, yes, we love Halloween. We come through Fairport,
And the church, the Methodist church, always had an outhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Two of them, a boy one and a girl one. You know, there used to be a tree by that one that was up front, but the tree's gone too.
Colleen Taylor, they lived behind the store, and Kathy, and I think you were with us, Ray.
Probably.
And we'd start down and come up Fairport, and we'd throw toilet paper over the line. Me and girls, we kind of caught Colleen Taylor in the outhouse behind the house.
Well, you remember the outhouse at the food store? Every time I went in there, I had to make sure the mouse wasn't watching because it had an outdoor lock on it. And he was locked in there, and he made you stay for 5 or 10 minutes.
He locked her in the green place at the house.
As a former music band teacher, I know that a lot of small towns have music groups in the towns. What did you know about that?
Fairport, Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, I heard somebody say that.
Yeah, Grand Ole Opry, that was quite a big one back there. I think
Betty Pearl and Minnie Pearl.
Claire and Max doing the Charleston.
Leon Jennings and Lauren Clay. Comedy.
Charlie Schiff and London.
Okay, as my mom was born in '03, around in here someplace, and as she was growing up, she always used to tell me how wonderful it was that on weekends somebody in the area would always play a fiddle, and the families would all come over and get together, and they would play different kinds of music, maybe the Spoons, maybe a washboard, but they would really have a great time. And back then, my mom it would be a big trip for her to come to town, to Fairport, maybe once or twice a year. And then her Christmas was an orange and the hard striped candy. And
I don't remember enough of people without even mentioning.
My whole grandparents.
Kenny Parrish, do you have any idea?
I just go back more. It was a different time.
Kenny was the first one, there was a person there before.
But Carla, I don't remember, but enough to probably even mention it. But I'm thinking, I remember them talking about the orchestra. That they did have
They did. I have a picture at home, that's one I forgot to bring today, but it was like our grandparents' generation. That was way back there. But they did have a local band.
I mean, it was sort of the center of activity for
I'm almost positive.
And it's like with people.
Dear Francis, Mom and Dad. Now where did Nina rent?
Yeah, she's
They were one of the last, they were the last. They were very last. They bought it from Denver. Ranger bought it from Denver.
Well, let's not forget the Wits. They owned that store.
Well, I have a comment about the West, they had a deal, apparently illegal drawing on Saturday mornings. If you got a ticket for every dollar purchased. And Mom would have me fill out my name on the tickets and I would put them in and I won for one week. And then, again, it seemed like after a while I was winning. It's the shyest little thing I got. Just one day, I was like, thinking about that, and I thought, I hope they're right that other people might have put my name on their tickets. Because, people were just so sweet, and yes, people, yeah, well, let's see if we can win again. And I never see, because I walked and thought, I was thinking,
Let me go ahead and say this. I don't think Doug will kick us out very soon if you want to stay and visit. But a couple things we want to make sure that you know about is that we do, there's a historical society down there in Maysville, has a lot of memorabilia about Fairport. And if you just have an afternoon and want to come and walk through and see everything, take your time and visit. The days you can come, our summer hours are going on for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are your best days, 9:30 to 2:30? 3:30. 9:30 to 3:30. If you ever have family coming in town and you want to go tour that, call and get hold of us a few days ahead of time and see if somebody will go and open the door and let you come through. We'd love to have people come and look at what we have. If you're doing family research, I heard some of you talking about family research. We've got all kinds of genealogy, family files. We have ladies and men that have put your family in a file folder, and every time something comes to the newspaper or somebody does research,
We
stick it in there.
5,000 family files.
5,000 family files. Come by and just look at that. It's we keep them all in the vault. That's in the old
Records
vault.
of everyone's served is from Lincoln County. And then we also have the event coming up at Fairport Cemetery.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, about a month from today, we haven't been focusing on Fairport. So about a month from today, we're going to have what we call Voices of the Past. And we've done this in Asia the last 2 years. We researched about 15 to 20 people, it looks like, from the cemetery. Get a little bit of their family history, and most of the time, I think 99% of the time, we have someone dress up as that person, give about a 5 to 7 minute talk as them at the cemetery. In addition, we're going to tour and go to all the places as we talk, but we figured it's a lot easier last year. You can come, you can sit underneath in a chair in a shaded place and hear all the stories. And then if anybody wants to, we'll go and show you where the different graves of the people are that we just talked about. Now, we had an event several months ago in March where some of us learned how to clean tombstones of people. And we tried to clean those ones that we're going to talk about. So
they'll be all shiny.
Yeah, so and if you haven't been over there for a while, they do. I know the cemetery board does keep it up really nice, and it's really a compliment to Fairport because we go to a lot of cemeteries that don't.
Yes.
And so that's on the 20th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to have chairs. We're going to bring a comfortable lawn chair. I think we used to spend about an hour there telling stories. And then anybody that wants to go take the tour, go walk around the cemetery. It's pretty flat. So, anything else we need to make sure everybody knows before you go?
Is there a rain date?
It's been a very good meeting.
If there's a rain date, I don't know what it is. This wasn't a rain date, actually. We scheduled it, and then and then Country Harvest went back to their original date, so that took us off. But this is our rain date, so September 20th. Looks like there's a lot of neat stuff to look at over here. If you brought some stuff that you think the Historical Society would like to either have or have a copy of, we would love to take a look at that. Because I scanned a few things over there on my phone really quick that looked really neat. Anything that has to do with families or businesses or
And I would
anything.
say this, if some of that stuff is yours and it's not labeled with names, that is the thing that is so frustrating at the Historical Society, is to get a donation and have no idea who you're looking at or even what family it is. So if you have a way to label that, if you still have people around that can help you, do it. Even for your own family. Yeah, even if you're not donating it, just for, I mean, I inherited a box from my grandmother, and I know no one. Not one single person, with the exception of my grandparents, I can't. And I know the people in those pictures are either relatives or people that were very important to them because they were born in like 1870. So photography was extremely expensive and all of that back then. So I know those people were people of their heart. And it's just heartbreaking to look at it and not be able to put a name.
We have some beautiful pictures on the wall that are framed in glass and doubled glass. Wonderful people, and we don't know who they are. So if you walk through, you may be able to help identify some of those people.
And some of them we have identified. It's really kind of funny because, like I've been putting tags on things as I'm able to identify people. One of the portraits we have had a name in pencil on the back, so I assumed that that's who the person was. And then this woman came in one day and she was coming back to use the restroom and she saw her walker and she goes, "That's not right." And I'm like, "Oh wow." And so I ended up taking it off and throwing the pencil on the back and she goes, "That's my dad. I know who that is." And I was like, "Okay, I can change that tag." So, marking it accurately is a good thing.
Take about cookies or 5 or 12 with you when you go. We don't need to have a bunch of snacks left, but like I say, don't stay too long because I'm sure Doug's got a Saturday plan. But thank you so much for opening the building to us.
Yes.
And I hope we had a good time. John just reminded me to say this. If you had somebody who couldn't be here today and they would like to, somebody that would like to hear all of this, in about 2 to 3 weeks, I should have this on a video compiled, hopefully with subtitles as best we can, for people that want to view it. And we have our own YouTube channel for the Historical Society. So we'll try to put that on. Yeah. The DeKalb County Historical Society of Missouri. If not, you're going to end up in Georgia or somewhere else. But there's also one from Stewartsville and Clarksdale that we've done earlier that's on there. You can go people from there. So stay tuned to our website, which is Missouri DCHS, DeKalb County Historical Society, MissouriDCHS.com, or just say, hey, Google Historical Society in Maysville. I'll find it. So,
Thank you for bringing us all together.
Good.